And thanks for joining us today for Aspen Discovery 101. My name is Jessie Zero, and we have a few members of the team here today to talk to you about Aspen Discovery. We're going to go over just what Aspen has to offer for each one of your libraries. We'll show you some great example sites, and we'll show you just how Aspen works. So just to do a quick round of introductions, my name is Jessie again, and I'm the Director of Library Sales and Outreach here at Bywater Solutions, and we are joined by both Bill and Kelly. So I'll let them do some quick introductions.
You can go first, Kelly.
Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm Kelly, and I'm the Library Accounts Coordinator here at Bywater Solutions.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bill Kessler, and I'm the Aspen Sales Consultant. We're excited for you all to join us today.
So in today's session, we're going to start by just talking to you a little bit about what Aspen Discovery does and what we can do for your libraries. Bill and Kelly will both be monitoring the chat and QA as questions come in. So if you have questions about anything, please do not hesitate to ask, and we will jump right in and answer those questions. So I'm going to start my screen and we'll get right to it. So for today, again, thank you for joining us, and we're going to talk a little bit first about Aspen Discovery goals. So the goals with Aspen Discovery, number one, are to maximize patron usage. You know, you all subscribe to such amazing resources, eContent, databases, archives, history, genealogy, just to name a few. And Aspen wants to bring all of that material into one place. The second goal is for complete integration with all ILS and eContent providers. Again, you have amazing material that is available in your collection, and we want to make sure that that is visible for your libraries. And then number three, make it easy for all patrons to use Aspen. We want your patrons to come in, whether it's on their desktop computer or their mobile device, and be able to find what they're looking for. Aspen just launched Lita this year, which is a mobile app that's available in both Google and Apple that allows your user, no matter where they're in the car, they're on the road, they can look and find material from your library. And then of course, number four, as library administrators, we want to make sure that it's easy for our users to find what they're looking for, but also for our staff to customize and maintain Aspen. And that is one of our main goals here. Our community is growing and growing as Aspen gets larger and larger. So right now there are over 500 libraries that have implemented Aspen Discovery, both here in the United States and internationally. The Aspen community is diverse and is growing. There's users in the UK and beyond, and it's amazing to see it. There's gatherings every month where people can share ideas about what they're doing, use cases, and you get to learn about all the new updates that are coming in the Discovery system. This is a fantastic time to just chat with other librarians and staff and find out what's going on in the Aspen community. The next one is integrations. So there are tons of integrations, whether you're using Overdrive for your patrons or you have Content DM for your archival information. This is a great way to bring all of that information into one place. And development. Who doesn't want to be part of that librarian-driven development? Enhancements for Aspen Discovery are deployed monthly to your system. So we have what we call rolling development. So you'll see those releases every month. And our users are part of that development process, giving feedback to our team members to make sure that Aspen Discovery is what your library needs. All right, so now that we talked a little bit about the Discovery system itself, let's jump right into our demo. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll just show off some of our amazing partners, because, you know, one thing we always like to talk about is you want to see what other libraries are doing. And we've pulled up several great examples here so you can see that information. So the first one is Uinta County Library in Utah. And they are a fantastic example for you to take a look at what they are using with Aspen Discovery. They have tons of features turned on. So the first is the Web Builder feature. And that allows you to integrate or use Aspen Discovery as your website. So whether you want to use it as your full-blown website for your library, or just create unique and individual pages, maybe to add resources or highlight resources that are available at your library. So you'll see here, if we just jump in there, we can look at some of the resources and then have them organized by category. So if your patron comes in and they're looking to learn a new language, they can come right in and find what they're looking for. Another great feature here for Uenta is the integration of events. So as we do a search for something in the system, you'll notice how Aspen gives us predictive text. That allows us to select what we're looking for or just perform that regular search. So Aspen has several unique features, which you'll hear us talk about throughout the presentation. Number one, the Ferberization, or the bringing together of multiple formats in the system, so we can see all of that information in one place. And then, of course, as we come down, we can see the Explore More section. And that is going to show us all of the great resources that are available. So events, I can see website integration, archival information, and if I want to explore all the events that are going on, I can see that information right away. Now, Uenta is utilizing something called Library Market to bring in their events. So users can find out when the next events are, and if they want to take a little more information, they can jump right in and view that right within the system itself. The next example we're going to show you here is McKinney Public Library in Texas. And they are a library system that set up and created this beautiful kids catalog. So you'll notice here when we jump on, it has a beautiful header that they've created. And as we scroll down, you'll see what we refer to as browse categories. Browse categories are a way for staff to curate and highlight different collections in your library's discovery system. It will integrate not only what's in your collection, but eContent as well. So in this case, you can see that McKinney Public Library is highlighting some picture books, and then it even breaks it down into subcategories. So if I want to look at Texas 2x2s, I can come in here and I can view that information. It's a great way for users to just be able to come in here and explore that. You know, I think about my children who love streaming, a little one and a teenager, and you know, whether it's Hulu or Netflix or Disney Plus, they have that experience where they can go in and view the visuals. Aspen takes that level for them where they can see all of that information. So now they can visually explore for something that they may be interested in. Our next example here is Crawford County Federated Library System. And this is a group of libraries out in Pennsylvania. And we like to highlight Crawford County as a lot of times we'll get questions about consortia or large systems that want to utilize Aspen Discovery. Aspen Discovery does a fantastic job of meeting the needs for consortiums, giving your libraries the individual feel that they can make their library stand out, but also be a part of that system. Resource sharing is crucial. We want to see what's available at some of those other sites, and Aspen gives your library the freedom to make those changes and have them stand out. So let's take a look at one of the libraries within Crawford County Federated Library System. This is Meadville Public Library. Now, they are also utilizing Web Builder. So you can see here on this main page, they've got some neat messages. 'Tis the season. They're highlighting some of the great resources that they have available, Beanstack, Hoopla, and Libby. And then they're even highlighting some new titles at the library. So if you are ready to take a look at urban quilting, because I know I am, you can jump right in and find that material. So they've done a really great job of being able to highlight some of that material that's available in their collection. And then you'll see consistency on their pages where their individuals can find the library, location, direction, hours, and even a calendar that's in bed on each one of those pages. Now, let's do a quick search within the system so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to do a search for Gone Girl. You'll see it's giving me the predictive text. And when that search comes back, you'll notice that it's showing me what's available now. So I can see right away that it's checked out, but it is available at other places in the consortium. Again, dependent on what my circulation rules are set up for, I can see that information. So it shows me Meadville Public Library right away, because that's the library I'm logged into. So again, being part of the consortium, I can see some of the other locations that may have a title. And as I scroll down, I can even select other formats. You know, maybe I want to read this book right away because somebody from my work recommended it, or they really like this author and I want to check out the ebook. I can come right down and say, all right, let's check that out from Overdrive. And Aspen will do a great job of showing you what is available now. Let's take a look at one more consortium. And this is Coastline Libraries out in Oregon. And they are part of a multi-branch system. And one thing that I love about them is they put the information for all of their branches right here on the main page. So, you know, if I forget, I can't remember what my local branch is, or let's say I'm out visiting a friend and I'm closer to another location, I can jump right in and select that particular library and jump right into it. That will take me out to that location. So just another way to highlight, you know, what's available at the library, being able to go into the specific location for my consortium. So a few things here that I'll point out. You'll notice right at the top, we see a message. This is what Aspen refers to as a system message. So any times that things may change, whether it's inclement weather, you're getting the carpet replaced, or maybe you're closing early because your town is having a Christmas parade, you know, whatever it may be, you can send a little message out to your users and let them know, and that will appear across the top. And the nice thing is, again, Aspen being built for consortiums, this allows you to highlight certain material or certain notices for your library only. So if my library was closing early, I could just push that message out. Another thing that we love to highlight on CUSE is the Library of Things. And this is just a neat way where they've highlighted just a bunch of different things that they have available at the library. So you can see here, this is their bongo drum set, and that includes some drums and, you know, tuning kits and a carrying bag. And it's just such a neat way to see what libraries are doing. You know, we talked a little bit about community in the beginning, and I can attest probably for all of us on this call today, each one of us can talk about what really excites us in the community, and just being able to see what libraries do, how they're displaying it in their system and what they're doing is just, it's just so cool to be a part of that. All right, now we're going to jump into our demo site. And this is what we use to highlight, you know, different features in Aspen Discovery. So for the next about 30 minutes, we'll go through and we'll talk about what the patron experience is, what they see when they log in, and then we'll take a quick peek at the Aspen administration, and then we'll leave some time at the end. If you have any questions that Kelly, Bill, or I can answer, we'd be happy to. So I'm going to come back and talk about these browse categories in a little more detail. So you'll notice across the top, I have things like available ebooks, available audiobooks, and then of course, New York Times bestsellers. These can all be customized for your library. So if you want to highlight some of the ebooks that are available, you'll notice as we scroll through and we click on these materials, we can see right away, okay, Educated is available as both a book and an ebook. So Aspen is grouping together those formats so we can see all of that information in one spot. With New York Times, there is an API. So what that means for you is you do not have to manually create a list for New York Times bestsellers. What it will do is it will look for titles that are in your collection, and it will populate this browse category from what's available on that list. So I know at my old job, Monday morning, that was my duty to go in there and update that list. So this always excites me when I see that. And then, of course, you can create anything you want, whether it's a book list for some STEAM titles, or maybe you want to put together a little list for kids where, you know, they can look at board books or picture books or whatever it may be. It's just a really nice way to kind of give them that curated collection. When we log in as a patron, you'll see some of the new enhancements that the Aspen community has just pushed out that allows each one of our patrons to personalize their experience with Aspen Discovery. Now let's start by doing a search. I'm going to come into the top and we're going to do a search for gardening, one of my favorite hobbies. You'll notice again how we get a populated list below of titles, authors, subject headings that match our search. Now I can come over here and I can narrow down that search. Maybe I'm looking for a title or a series, or I even want to do an advanced search. I can change that information. I can also choose where I want to search, whether it's in the library catalog itself, the website, archives, or even combined results. This allows me to choose what I want to view first. For our first search, we'll do the library catalog. Once I search in the system, that's going to bring back a list of results. Now, we'll talk a little bit about what the patron sees. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see facets. That allows you to narrow down your results. So if I'm looking for a particular format, maybe an ebook, or maybe I'm just looking for a regular book, I can come down and narrow those results. Now, for staff, you can customize the order in which these facets appear and which facets actually appear. There's over 30 that you can choose from. One of the great things about the support with Bywater Solutions is your Aspen Discovery team works with you when you're implementing the process, either Cal or Morgan, and they'll go through the process with you of setting up your system and making sure that you choose the correct options that work for your library. And if you're part of a consortium, they'll work with you to help each one of your libraries make sure that they have the correct facet set. Over here in the center of the screen, you're going to see formats. Now, those formats are going to allow you to narrow down by, a particular audiobook if you're looking for audiobooks, or movies if you're looking for movies. You can even take it a step further and say, show me everything that's available on the shelf right now. And then that allows me to narrow down my results where I can see what's available. Or if it's the middle of the night and I want to see what's available online, I can check that out right away via Overdrive. Now, as we're scrolling down, you'll notice you see something here about the University of Florida. This is what we call placards. Placards are a way for you to highlight information in the system. In this case, we are highlighting a partnership that we have with the local university for the master gardening class. And what this allows the staff to do is to either link out to a website or maybe even a page on your library website that talks about the database, the program, the event that's going on with your library. Now think of placards like this. It's a way for you to advertise something in your system, whether it's something that traditionally doesn't have a MARC record. Maybe it is Mango Languages or Consumer Reports or Creative Bug. Maybe it's an event that you have going on with your library. Breakfast with Santa, caroling in the neighborhood by the library, whatever it is, you can create these placards and have them display in your system. Again, you're getting exposure to all of the material that you have available in your collection, which again is the #1 goal of Aspen Discovery. So this can be done for, really anything that you think of. Another great perk of being part of the community, people are always willing to share placards that they've created, and you can really get some good ideas. We've seen some great ones for job postings or brain fuse, anything that you can think of, you can link out. These are triggered by keywords that staff create. So if you're in a consortium and you're thinking, can this be done for my library on an individual basis? It absolutely can. So if you have an event that's going on at your library, or maybe your library is the only library that subscribes to Hoopla out of the entire consortium, those are all things that can be customized so your patrons see those first. Now, again, as I scroll down, you'll notice that we see this Explore More section again. So let's talk a little bit about that integration. You'll notice here we get one for Rose Garden. I'm going to click on that, and that's going to take us out to our digital integration. So this is one of our partners that you saw earlier, Uinta County. They have theirs connected to the digital library from the University of Utah. So I can see the image, and then I can also see all of the metadata that is connected to this particular archival picture. So it's a great way for your users to get digital assets integrated right into the system. You'll notice here we can also see some remote resources. This is another one of our partners, Pueblo City County Library in Colorado. So if we come down here, they are indexing their website. What that means is, as you do a search in Aspen Discovery, it will bring in any results from your website that match that search. So as I scroll down here, I know they have a gardening class, which I'm always excited to talk to them about. So this is just another great way to get some exposure for your library and making sure that your users, again, are seeing all of the resources. Finally, you'll see two over here for magazines and academic journals. This is integration with EDS, or EBSCO's Discovery Service. So what that will do is that will bring in any results from an outside source. So I can see the research starter, which comes in from their EDS. And then I do get this Explore More section, which will show resources throughout the collection. So again, access to everything in the system. So you'll notice over here, I can jump right back to those catalog results that I was first viewing. Okay, let's do another search now. This time I'm going to search for Harry Potter. And I almost said it how maybe I would spell it if I missed that R. Aspen Discovery again will give me predictive search. If I do misspell because I'm typing too fast, or I don't know how to spell that author's last name, it will give a fix for that particular spelling that I've done. Our users are really used to this with Google, where maybe I typed it in incorrectly and Google will say, did you mean? Aspen gives us that same option. So now when I search for Harry Potter, I'm going to see some results here. So the first one I'll see is the title in the series. I can see here the author, the series information. I can even click on that series information where I can see a clean look of all of the titles in that particular series. So if this is the first time that a user is reading that, or looking for what the next book is, they can jump right in and view that information. One of the great things with the grouping together of all the formats is they can choose which format they like, and they can also see multiple editions if multiple editions are available, and even place a hold on the particular title that they want. So if I come in here and say place a hold, that is going to prompt me to log in. So whether your library system uses a username or a card number or a password and PIN, this allows the user to come in and begin that process. Once it logs me in, it shows me the options of where I want to pick it up. If I am a multi-branch, I can select from that drop-down menu to select the branch I want, or it will default to my location, and then I can submit that request. Once I submit that request, it is going to tell me that the hold was either successfully placed and the number I am in the queue. If I don't have the ability to place that item on hold, maybe I've reached my threshold or limit, it will also give me that message. One of the really neat features of Aspen Discovery is it expands your reading horizons. So here you'll see I get this while you wait feature, and that's going to tell me what's available in the system that I can currently check out without having to wait. So just again, expanding it. Let's look at a detailed view of this record now. As I scroll down, you'll be able to see information here about the record itself. You'll notice over here on the left-hand side, we have star ratings. Those star ratings essentially allows the user to come in and say 1 to 5. 1, I didn't like it at all. 5, I loved it. And what this will do is this will start providing recommendations for the user. And you'll see that in a little bit. As I scroll down, I'll be able to see a little more information about this particular title, the description, other titles in the series, other titles that the user might like compared to this one. And then as we scroll down below, we'll be able to see a few more items, subject headings, where they can come in and search for other titles in the collection. They'll be able to see similar series from Novelist. If you subscribe to Novelist Select, you can integrate that right into your Aspen Discovery system, where you can see those series, titles, and of course, authors that they are suggesting. Down at the bottom, you'll also notice you do have a staff view, so users can view that information. Mostly staff, want to come in sometimes and see where the information is coming from. I do want to point out, you'll notice here, it does tell me where the image source is coming from. So Aspen offers some free resources for your titles in the collection. We use a COSI server for book images, and that's going to pull in from Amazon or Google Jackets or Open Library. It'll look at the MARC field for your ISBN, the 020, or the Open Movie Database, and that will pull in cover images for movies in your system. So those are some great free resources. But of course, if your library subscribes to either Content Cafe or Syndetics, they can use that information to pull in as well. Now, I also want to show you what they see when they view an author search. So let's say I wanted to explore more by J.K. Rowling. What this allows me to do is now I can see all of the titles in the collection by this particular author. It's going to give me a quick preview of this author. That's pulling in from Wikipedia. This is, of course, something you can turn on or off, but this would give your user just a little bit of exposure to that author. And then over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see similar authors. Now, this is being powered by Novelist Select. So if you subscribe to that, users will be able to see why this particular author is thought of to be just like J.K. Rowling. So again, just giving your users a little more exposure to that. Now let's look at the patrons account. So you'll notice as I hover over Samwise, that's going to give me a quick menu where I can jump in and go to, any of my links here. Whether I want to look at my finds and messages or checked out titles, I can jump directly in. I also have a submenu, which would allow me to jump directly into my account, view my hours and locations, or any customized links from my library. You'll notice they also have language options. So if we look up top here, you'll see I can switch between either English and Spanish. There are 7 languages that you can choose from to have Aspen Discovery translated in. So I am going to jump right into my account. This is going to give me a quick snapshot of what the particular checkouts are that I have. Checked out titles, overdue, holds, things that are ready for pickup. I'm also going to get a quick look at recommended titles so I can see right down below what's been recommended. Now, over on the left-hand side, I can drill down a little bit further. So I'm going to be able to see things that I have checked out, both physically, and then also anything that I have checked out from Overdrive or any of those other platforms that I may have connected. So Cloud Library, Hoopla, Access 360, those are all eContent providers that use API connections, or in simplistic terms, we're bringing real-time results from those eContent providers into Aspen Discovery so they can find exactly what they're looking for and they don't have to go out to a separate app. They can also check things out, read them online right away, or if I jump into my app, I can view that information as well. They can also see the titles that they have on hold. So if I scroll down a little bit further, I can see anything that's ready for pickup. I do get this amazing little while you wait suggestion. And then I can also see things that are on hold electronically as well. So it's showing them everything in one place. Now, as I scroll down, I can also see pending holds. So if there's anything that I have that I'm waiting for, whether it's still checked out to a patron or I placed it and I'm still waiting for it to be triggered or trapped in the system, I can see that information. Here, users can cancel or freeze a hold, change their pickup location, or they even get that while you wait feature. And again, sometimes these are just point on with things that fall right into what I'm looking for. I love it. Now they do have some options down below where they can, cancel all of their pending holds, freeze all of them, or even export it to Excel if they're going to use another platform to track things. Now let's talk a little bit about reading history. If your library allows users to track their reading history, Aspen can give them that same experience. Now, we do have the option to opt in. So I'm going to stop recording my reading history here for a minute so you can see what that looks like. This is going to show the user the first time a little message that tells them that, of course, privacy is serious, and we want to make sure that they know what we are collecting. So this shows them the option to, of course, start recording their reading history. That takes me in where I can see any of my previous checkouts in the system and search through them. Finds and messages will allow them to narrow down and see anything that they may have fines or fees for. There's several different platforms that we can connect to for e-commerce. The example that we have pulled up here is, of course, PayPal, which would allow them to go out, make the payment, and then update the system with any type of payments for fines or fees that they have.
So Jesse, can you go back to the holds? There's a
yeah.
question about freezing holds.
Absolutely.
So the question is, can you freeze holds between certain specified dates?
Oh, that's a great question. So if I come over here and I say freeze hold, it's going to ask us one specific date. So if I come in here and say, you know what, I'm taking a road trip and I won't be back until January 8th, it's just the one date that it's going to let me to select. So basically what this will do is this will freeze it until the 8th. Now, the other option that you have is you can come over here and just freeze a hold indefinitely. And so what that would do is that would just allow me to freeze the hold indefinitely until I come in and make a change or unfreeze it. So Philip, I see your question. So you would select a date for that. Yeah, absolutely. So next we have our materials specified. This is where we can come in and submit a new material request. This would allow your user to enter in information about a title they would like to see, and then submit that information and send it over to the staff so they can either approve it or reject it in the system. So if you use any type of purchase suggestion, you can integrate that into Aspen Discovery. Now, earlier we saw those titles that you've rated. So we saw before where we had that 1 to 5 star. You'll notice over here, I can see some of those titles that I've rated, and then down below, I can see some of the titles that I would not recommend. So you'll notice here now, I can view those recommended titles. So now Aspen is looking at those 1 to 5 star ratings and providing some options for me that I can see within the system. So there's some great options here. You can always say don't recommend, or you can jump in and place a hold. And one of the personalized features that your patrons will see is here on the main page. You'll notice that now that I'm logged into the system, I get this recommended for you feature. And this allows them to, browse through the system. What you'll see next is you also have a way to view your saved searches. So Samwise has saved searches for Lord of the Rings and Tolkien, and that allows you to view those in a browse category. You can also tie that in for your lists. So I have 2 lists here for camping and great books of 2020, and that allows me to view those particulars as browse categories as well. So just some really nice personalization features, which of course the user can hide at any time. I'm going to jump back into my account, and now we'll talk about some of the account settings. One of the neat features here is, of course, library cards as a digital form. How many times have you walked into the library and forgot your library card? Many. This, I'm always like, of course, you're not going to forget your phone. So you have it and you can pull it up here. And with Aspen Lita, the Aspen Discovery app, you can, of course, pull that digital library card up there. So if you're going to self-check or whatever it may be, you can link right in. You'll also notice linked cards. And what this is a way for you to link together people in your family or partners, or maybe you care for an elderly neighbor or parent. You can actually link their account information with yours. Now, this is agnostic of your ILS. This is just within Aspen Discovery. And I can come in here and actually link an account to mine. So you'll see here, Sam Wise is linked to Tina, and Tina has Sam Wise on her account as well. I can remove that at any time. And if I do change my PIN or password, that would automatically disconnect them. What the user would be able to see would be like checked out titles, titles on hold. They will not, I'm going to repeat again in case I lost you, they will not see the reading history of the connected or linked accounts. So it's nice to be able to separate some of that, but to be able to say, you know what, let me come in and pay my children's fines because they are late. And then you would be able to see that information. It would give you separate entries for each account. Within their account settings, they can also see things like their account information. If they want to update, you know, an email or a phone number, they can set their preferences for checkout locations. And then they can even select their messaging preferences, whether they prefer to be notified, you know, via a text message or an email or a phone number if your library uses that form of notification. They can also reset a PIN or password or specify their eContent options. Now, one of the really neat features of Aspen is the ability to save your search. You'll notice when we saw in those browse categories, my search for Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, you can actually save a search so you can come back at any time and view that information. It's just a nice way for a favorite author or maybe even a topic to save that information. And then you get that experience right on the main page where you can browse your saved searches and your lists right from that visual aspect. Now I'm going to jump in and we'll look at lists real quick because who doesn't love good lists? Lists are a way for your users to come in, create a list, and whether they do a search and they add a title from a search, or they create a list here and they add multiple titles, either by entering the title itself or the ISBN, they can add multiple titles in. And what this will do is this will give them a list. You'll notice I have ebooks and regular books in here. I can email the list out to myself or another individual. I can print it. So if I want to print it off, or maybe I wanted to hide the covers and then print it off, there's just some really great ways that you can essentially aggregate that information and send it off. If you have a school or a college or university in your consortium, there's a way to even generate citations from that list. And then finally, sorting. Who doesn't love a good sort, right? You can do title, date, or recently added, and you can even use user defined, which of course is my favorite because then you can manually move it up and down. So if like this is your wish list of what you want to read in 2021 and you are down to 15 days left in the month and you're like, all right, what books do I have left that I can get to my goal for 2021? This is a nice way to do it. You know, if this is the first time that you are using Aspen Discovery, you can even import a list if your ILS allows you and bring that information in. So they won't lose any of those lists from their old location. Now I'm going to do another search back in the system, and this time we're going to search for gardening, and we're going to do that in combined results. And what that will do is that's going to bring back a list of results here where I can see not only what's available in the catalog, but what's available via articles and databases from the website. If there was any list that matched, I can see my history and archives, and I can even see Digital Public Library of America, another great resource you can turn on in Aspen Discovery. So there's multiple ways, depending on what type of learner and searcher that your user is, that they can search. There's even integration with genealogy, and we'll do just a quick little search here. What this allows your team to do is essentially create genealogical records in the system. So if we come in here and look at Ben, this shows us any type of comments, names, birth date, gender, If Ben had passed, we'll be able to see death date, burial plots, if he served in any wars, or even his obituary. So this is a really great way that you can essentially build some genealogy records right within Aspen Discovery. So again, we keep coming back to that number one goal of making sure that you have access to everything that your library offers. Aspen truly gives you that experience where you can find everything that you're looking for. All right, we're going to take a quick pause, and this time I'm just going to log out and log back in as a librarian. So we'll highlight some of the things available in administration, and we'll wrap things up and have questions come in. So here you can see, this is taking me right into our account information. And you'll notice over here, now I have a button for Aspen Administration. This is going to show me all of the fields that I have set up for my administration in Aspen. So with Aspen, your users are given permissions, and you'll see right here under administration, we can view that information for administration users, permissions, and then we can define what our staff members have access to. Within here, you'll be able to view some reports. One that I always like to show off is the usage dashboard. This is going to show your staff members page views, sessions that were searched, cover requests, grouped work searches, and things like that. You'll notice that you can also see a quick graph view, so you can view a little bit of more information about page views. If your library is using Google Analytics, you can absolutely still connect to Google Analytics as well. Aspen just provides some of these natively to the system. And if you are part of a consortium, you can even go in and view specific consortial pages within the system. As far as those customizations goes, when you're setting this up, this is where you're going to bring in your logos, any of your branding, and set up information in your system. Again, our Aspen team will work with you to set this information up, so you can define certain colors. You'll be able to see information right away. If it is red, it means it is not accessible. If it's green, it's great, it's good to go. And if it's yellow, it's so-so. So this is a nice way that you can make sure that your site is still accessible when you're customizing everything in the system. Also in administration, you're going to see things for web builder. So even if you just want to create a simple basic page, maybe you want to do a blog post, like a blog for your youth services team, so they can, weekly do their book updates, or maybe you have a book club and you want to create a page for that. It's a great way for you to build that information in. This is where you're going to customize some of those browse categories. So we saw those on the main page where you can come in and customize that information. You can also customize those placards that we talked about. This is a really nice way. If you have a story time coming up, here you can see there's one for dinosaur story time. You can set a start and end date. You can customize your own language. You can bring in images, even your own CSS. So this is a really great way to bring those placards to life in your system. And then of course, define those trigger words for when that placard will show up. And then down below, of course, you can define which location it shows in your system. And then finally in administration, we're going to see things for bringing in e-commerce, any type of third-party enrichment. So New York Times, how you're bringing in those cover images, and then your e-content providers, Cloud Library, Hoopla, Access 360, Overdrive. If there is a vendor that does not have an API connection, meaning we can automatically bring their records into the system, you could do sideloading. So right now, Canopy is a great example. Yes, they were recently bought out by Overdrive, so things might change. But this allows you to bring those records directly into the system, so you can upload them, meaning you don't have to put them in your ILS. You can bring them right into Discovery. To wrap things up here, we'll talk about our community. So there is a help manual built in. So if you have a question, you can peruse through that. Helpful tutorials in there. You can view release notes at any time. So you can see current releases and even go back and view past releases in the system. And then of course, the final thing is submitting a ticket. You can come in and submit a ticket at any time, which would allow your users to see that information in the system.
So Jesse, I got a few questions that have come in.
Sure.
If you go back to like the browse categories,
Yeah.
can you can you explain a little bit how those disappear or timelines, and then what happens if you hide them?
Absolutely. So you'll notice here we have a few that are popping up, recommended for you or available ebooks. So let's say I just don't like, audiobooks at all. I can come over here and actually hide that category. Now, let's say down the road, I decide, my best friend said, you should really start listening to audiobooks. I really listened to this great one. And if we scroll down below, you'll be able to see that information where I can say, show those hidden browse categories, so you can view those at any time. And then also, the customization one. So here, like when we're looking at our saved searches, again, if you want to hide some of those, you can do that. Now for staff, it's really easy to create browse categories in the system. I'm logged in as a librarian. So as I search for sewing, you can come down, and at the bottom of this page, it's going to give me some extra options. So as a regular user, I might want to email the search or save it or export it. As a staff member, I can actually add it right to a browse category. So it allows me to come in here and say, do I want to update an existing one, or do I want to create a new one? And then I can come in here, name that, and then create that category in the system. So it's a way for me to essentially create that new browse category, and then it's that easy. It'll be set up in your system. The other way is if you have a list. So if we go back over now and we take a look at our list in the system, you'll notice that when I'm looking at one of my lists, let's say my Caldecott medal winners, I can come in here and add that right to a browse category. So it's super easy. The nice thing about the searches is, let's say I catalog a couple new items, they match my sewing search. It's now going to show up in that browse category. So it's an automatic update. So it's a really great way to view that information. I see we have another,
Yeah, I was going to translate that one. So with Aspen being discovery layer, can you kind of go a little detail on how it integrates with the ILS's catalog, how it's different from the current OPAC that someone might have?
Absolutely. So discovery essentially is, think of it as it sits on top of your ILS. So for the question here is about Koha, but any OPAC in general. And what it does is it's grabbing the ILS records essentially from your system and bringing them into Aspen Discovery. So in essence, Aspen is replacing your Koha OPAC because it's bringing everything that's fantastic in your Koha OPAC. It's bringing it into Aspen, but it's electrifying it, right? And now it's bringing in all of those databases, those resources, eContent, anything that's there in the system. So, it's a great way. It's real time. So there's not a delay. You can see that information right within the system. Your patrons can log in, they can check things out, they can place them on hold.
In addition, when you do a checkout for Overdrive or any of the eContent, that is automatically being checked out in the other systems too. So there's no delay there. So if you go to your Libby or go to the other interfaces, you'll be able to see that immediately. So Jesse, another one, I think you talked a little bit about some of the additional eContent integrations. I think I saw on Uinta, they had a calendar integrated in there. Can you explain a little bit about what was going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Uinta, we talked about Library Market. So Library Market is just one of the vendors that provides event services. We're currently developing integration with LibCal, which is SpringShare. So this is a way that you can bring events into your system. And of course, our Aspen Discovery team is always welcome to hear more vendors that you might be working with for events to talk about future integrations with that in the system.
Jesse, we have another question about how Aspen integrates with EBSCO Discovery services.
Absolutely. So Aspen will connect with EDS or EBSCO's Discovery platform. And so if we do a search here for pandemic, you'll notice that below library catalog, we have articles and databases. And what that does is that's going to bring back real-time updates from EDS or their discovery system. Now, this is separate from just your EBSCO host databases. So Discovery is one of their services that they provide. This brings in full text, peer-reviewed. You can view that information and that will show those results. They even have the facets where they can narrow them down and even view the research starter. EBSCO host integration is coming in 2022 to Aspen Discovery. So that'll be in next year's release. So we are happy to answer as many questions that are still coming in about Aspen Discovery, but I do want to pull this up. Bill is your Aspen sales consultant, and he would be happy to set up a one-on-one demo where we can go into more details just about what type of features and functionality you're looking for and seeing that information in the system.
I think we have another one coming in about Hoopla.
Hoopla, sure.
And is their ability to be able to hide the adult content versus other content?
Absolutely. When we were talking a little bit about consortiums, we mentioned, let's say you're part of a consortium, everyone in your consortium subscribes to Overdrive, but maybe your library just subscribes to Hoopla. These are all things that you can set up in the system. So you'll notice that we do have a separate setting here back in Aspen administration for settings where you can set that information up. There's even functionality with this where, let's say you want to show results for Overdrive first, if that's available. And then if Overdrive doesn't have it, show Hoopla. You have some system settings that you can set up. Again, that your incredible implementation team will work with you and making sure that you're setting up those correct settings with Hoopla in the system. I see we have another question about online payment or PCI compliance. So essentially for any type of online payments, what will happen is they will take you out to that e-commerce provider. So whether it's PayPal or another provider in the system, what it will do is it will take the user out to that provider. So you can see a few that we have in here: Comprise, FIS, ProPay. It will take them out there. They will make the payment, and then it will send that payment information back to the patron's account and the ILS. So the PCI compliance is happening at the vendor's page, product vendor.
All right, I'm not seeing any other questions come in.
All right, I'm gonna put Bill back up on here and just say, really, we'd love to set up a time to talk. Bill will set up a time to talk with you and find out, what you're using so we can set up a customized demo for you and your library. And if you have any other questions that we can answer, please do not hesitate to ask and let us know. You can reach out to Bill at any time or the members of our Aspen Discovery team, and we'd love to get the chance to talk with you.